So, hello everyone. Again, we're still here, still annoying people, still finding people to talk to. We are today joined with someone who's really interesting, and hopefully we're going to have a great conversation and a little chat with the wonderful Peter Thornton, who looks after Black Tears Cuban spiced rum.
I do.
So, do you want to kick us off, Peter, with just a little bit about kind of yourself and your kind of history and things like that, and how your career's kind of gone and where you've ended up doing what you're doing, essentially?
I'll narrow that down to career history. You don't want higher history. When I was 7. Pete Thornton. I've been in the hospitality industry since I was 16 years old. As a wee glass collector. I think they're called barbacks now. It's a bit more professional sounding. I was pretty lucky to work in a bar in Leeds City Centre that was pretty buzzing at the time. One of sort of like, the places to be type thing. And it was just cool. I don't know, it just made you feel cool being there. And I was 16 and, you could tell people that you worked in this venue and they're like, oh my God. And just got hooked, basically. 16, 17, just before turning 18, I went onto the bar. Obviously, don't tell anybody. 18. And went down that more sort of bartending, obviously, but not really where it is today. It was much simpler back then. Cocktails and everything were really simple, and there was a lot of beers and shots and stuff. And I've been in the industry ever since. At the same time as that, at 17, I got into DJing, and sort of did the two parallel for quite a while. So I did bar shifts, but also DJing and stuff as well. So for 17, and then about 20-ish. I took a bit of a detour and went self-employed into the DJ route, and a little DJ agency and stuff. Employed quite a few different people. That ran for a few years, actually. And then it turns out you have to pay tax and stuff on what you earn. Got quite a severe slap on the wrist. So that came to quite an abrupt end on that scale anyway. So I went back in more seriously into bartending at sort of 22-ish, into management more so, into assistant management and stuff. Worked up through there. Basically, I've covered pretty much all aspects of the industry. I've done time in kitchens, obviously in back office, salad management, assistant management, general management, DJ and promotions, and all of that sort of stuff. So I've covered pretty much all aspects, really.
That's a lot of bases, yeah.
I don't have a door badge. That's about it. But I've been on the door with a clipboard and hosting and stuff like that. But yeah, other than a door badge, I don't think there's much I haven't done really in the industry. But it's good. It's all been good experience. Obviously, the way things were back then, or in my days. And I came out of bars just over 14 years ago when I started with Cellar Trends, and that was my first time from going from that side of the bar to that side of the bar. So to be able to take all that experience and all that I'd learned from being behind the bar, to be able to go and talk to people from in front of the bar, is actually it's a bit of a godsend, to be honest, because, you probably do this as well, people walk into your bar and be told before they even got to you, you're like, you're selling me something. You've already shut them down.
We tend to spot them like
You've shut them down. So be able to approach bar managers and bartenders and stuff on a level that they know. And you can sort of get on a lot easier, and it just helps a lot. You speak their sort of language and in a way that they know better, and it just makes it easier, really, that you're not there to do the hard sell. Again, I am not a salesperson. I'm being an ambassador and brand manager as well, but more from an ambassadorial point of view. So a lot of work, what we do now, it's all people that either already have the product or are very genuinely interested in taking the product. But yeah, a lot of years behind the bars, a lot of years, a lot of long hours and all the rest of it. But yeah, I've never worked in any other industry. So yeah, it's a lot of years. And more,
I presume I was just going to say, I presume over the years then that you have been in hospitality and whatnot, you've seen so much change when it comes to kind of what's the in thing, what's trendy, and has it always been rum that you've kind of been an ambassador for in the past, or have you kind of flirted with a lot of different spirits?
No, so well, there's quite a few different questions there. Yes, there's been a lot of changes, and you know what? There'll be many more to come. Not mainly because of the situation we find ourselves in now, but just it's the way the industry goes. You you walk down a city 1 month and it looks as it does, and then you walk down there a month later and where have they gone? Or oh, they've changed hands, or who owns that now? And that bar team's moved to that venue, and it changes so quickly. Trend wise, yeah, I mean, it's kind of goes in circles, doesn't it? The shops trend was massive, and then God, this makes me sound really old, but the flavour vodka thing, before Revolution bar was there, I remember going in on a Saturday afternoon and melting down sweets and infusing vodka with chocolates and doing all this. We used to make our own, and doing stuff like that. But yeah, it's weird. Weird when you think back, isn't it? What you used to do. But in terms of where I am now, so when I left behind bars to go and work for Cellar Trends, we were employed by Cellar Trends as what they called city managers, or promotion team managers, basically. And we worked predominantly for, well, it was only 2 brands at the time, Jägermeister and Luxardo Sambuca. So our whole work life was based about those 2 spirits.
Jesus, that's a lot of shots.
Which go back sort of 14 years ago, so I would be 25, 26. It was mega, going out like Jaeger, look, Sambuca, woo. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, this isn't as cool as I thought. Well, actually, your body says, what are you doing? But no, I mean, they were awesome days. But then as a team, because we were doing so well with Jaeger and we were doing so well with Luxardo Sambuca, more brands from the Cellar Trends portfolio wanted to invest in us as a team. So our portfolio got diluted, and we came out of the sort of, the shot girls and going into bars and creating massive parties and giving out like flashing badges and Hawaiian leis and stuff like that. And so that more sort of like, we worked with brands like Grand Marnier and Sky Vodka and Midori, for example, which were more about delivering a more sensible, more, responsible cocktail serve and stuff. So we diversified quite a lot. And then I left that team within Cellar Trends and joined the marketing team as a brand manager for the Finest Call and Real brands. And that was 2010. Yeah, it was January 2010. And then again, literally a few months after that, probably like 8 months after that, I was given Pusser's Rum to come under my remit as well, which began my proper sort of love affair, I guess, or my dive into the rum world, I guess. So my baptism of fire to where I am now would have been Pusser's Rum. And that's not normally a place to start. I'll be honest. And then there was the gunpowder, what is now gunpowder proof, and the old red labeled 15-year-old label. That was it. That was the 2 brands they had. There was no blue label 40% or anything like that. It was proper full on. Wow. 54.5%. So that kind of set my palate, or ruined it, depending on how you look at it. But it certainly set my palate in terms of my preferences for rum. Absolutely.
The strong stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Like I said, it's not introductory rum. So.
Definitely not. Well, maybe in a painkiller or something. They're dangerously easy to drink.
Well, that was the joy of it, I had Real as under my management, and I had Pussers under my management. So obviously, common sense is like, well, let's absolutely thrash the heck out of the painkiller. So it was a conversation of, with myself of, I want to do this activity. Do you want to invest in it? Well, yeah, we can do if you want. Right. Do you want to put some money in? I'll put some money in. So yeah, we just pulled everything and we did really well with getting the painkiller more visibility and more awareness. So, and rightly so, man, it's a banging drink.
Yeah, great drink.
Yeah, we're with you on that one, that's for sure. So obviously, part of like what you're heavily involved in now is this launch of Black Tears, this Cuban spice rum. Now, obviously, spice rum is certainly a little bit of a touchy subject at the moment, I guess. Like we were discussing before we came on here, there's obviously some more of the rum enthusiasts that might not take it quite so seriously anymore, or certainly deem it as a lesser quality, or potentially not even like think that it should be classified as a rum. It should be maybe something different. But on the flip side of that, you know, wider population, spice rum has really taken off, so it is bringing a lot of money into the industry. And as myself and Andy have discussed before, it's sometimes kind of hard to fully hate on something if it's like a really good gateway into the category, you know, like if you can get someone in and then guide them in the right direction and point them to, you know, other things they might like. It's just getting people involved, and it's opening that dialogue up, isn't it? And on top of that, as well as there being some bad quality spice rums out there are some great ones as well. And I think that just to completely write off a subset of a category because of a few bigger brands that, you know, fair enough, they might have the market share of that category, but, you know, they're not a true reflection of everything that's out there. So obviously with this one here, kind of, and given that you've worked with a lot of reputable brands before, you've obviously tried a lot of rum, so you know what sets apart a good one from a bad one. I'm sure you've tried lots of spice rum before, so how does this one kind of like stand apart from some of the stuff that's already out there?
I think you've hit many nail on the head there, but you could name any subject, any topic, and people will like it and hate it, right? Or disagree or agree, right? Movies, music, restaurants, jeans, t-shirts, right? Whatever, right? It can be anything, right? Rule number one is you are never, ever, ever going to please everybody, right? So don't try, don't, right? You're not. Everyone has their own opinion, their own take on what they like and what they don't like. And being an ex-bartender, the one thing that we used to get hammered into us during all our trainings or all our developments or whatever is, and I'm sure you guys are similar as well, right? When you taste a drink, the worst thing you can do to a bartender is that's awful. It's not awful, right? Unless it's made it badly. But if it's not for your taste, maybe, right? Then that's a different answer altogether. And for me, that is every time. So and I do this a lot. If I don't like something, I say it's just not for me, right? It's not for me. That inside, I might be being sick in my own mouth, but but you don't ever stand there and go, that's absolutely vile or whatever, because a million other people might love it, right? So for me, I think it's important to be a bit more thoughtful and constructive, and just mindful on how you give your thoughts and your feedback on certain things. Yes, there's a lot of absolute dross in the spice rum world, but there is in every category, man. You look at gin and the direction that's gone in. Sales have gone like that for gin, and the accessibility has gone like that for gin, and the varieties have gone like that for gin, but the quality has absolutely gone like that. And you look at, I love gin as a comparison to where rum is, and people say, oh, it's going to be the next gin is rum. It's like, well, it can't be for a start because of its production and how long it takes to make rum versus gin. But also, you look at, if you go back 10 years and what gin brands were available 10 years ago versus the journey to today, right? And the amount that are there now versus how many are going to be there in 5 years' time. The ones that were here will be here, but this pool will be so much less, right? And it's going to happen to rum, unfortunately, whether rum lovers like it or not, and specifically in the spice rum world, because what's going to happen is, and if you look on any label of a spice rum bottle, what you can't do legally and under rum legislation is you can't call it spice rum, right? You can call it a spice drink or a rum-based drink or whatever, you can't actually call it a spiced rum, because as soon as it leaves the still, if you adulterate the liquid post-production, you're not allowed to call it rum anymore. And that's not even an ABV thing, because even a Black Tears Cuban Spice, you know, it's 40% ABV, so it ticks the ABV box, but it's adulterated, to use that term, post-production, right? Now, anything below 37.5 cannot be labelled as a rum either, right? But I could give you quite a few brands that are 37.5 and below that have got rum on their bottle that are masquerading themselves as bona fide legit rum, and they're absolutely not, right? Anything below 37.5 is a liqueur based on rum, or a rum-based liqueur, whichever way around you want to put it. But because of the importance of the category, and again, you know, I remember, you know, sort of, there was only really Morgan spiced when I started bartending, and then this thing called Sailor Jerry appeared, and everyone was like, what was that? And that went through the roof, and then more and more and more came around, and the category of spice rum is not going to slow down. It's not at all. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and the boundaries are going to keep getting pushed, and there's not a chance that they will all be, should we say, like, proper rum that's being used. Do you know what I mean? Which is a real shame. But again, you know, the plus side to that is people like me that work for good brands that are, you know, passionate and dedicated to producing good liquid will be in jobs for a while, because it's our job to educate people on what makes better quality products and a better end product of the not so good stuff. So, you know, on a plus side, I've got a job, which is great. You know, and the other difference, one of the big draws for me to work for or with the Island Rum Company, who are the people that own or produce both Black Tears Cuban Spice, but also their premium rum La Progresiva, was when you look at how Cuban rum is produced and how controlled it is, mainly because it's owned by the Cuban government, so it's heavily controlled. But you know what you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do to your rum is actually really, really interesting. And since post-revolution, so 1959, the Cuban government have controlled the entire rum production, right? We're talking sugar plantations, mills, distilleries, aging houses. They've controlled everything, right? Now, 26 years ago, Pernod Ricard signed a joint venture to produce and distribute a rum brand, which we now know as Havana Club. And that's never happened ever since, until now, until the Island Rum Company signed their joint venture deal on the 7th of November last year. So there's Pernod Ricard and the Island Rum Company. They're the only two companies ever to do an official joint venture agreement to manufacture and distribute Cuban rum. It's taken over 11 years for the Island Rum Company to get that agreement, because one of the main people behind the Island Rum Company, Enrique, who is Cuban, he was adamant that his first rum under this agreement would be the first ever Cuban spiced rum. And after the Cuban government laughed at him many times, they finally obviously made good progress in negotiations and blah, blah, blah. And what we have as Black Tears Cuban Spice now is, I think it's V3, maybe V4 of liquid and bottles and what have you as well. Because the Cuban government were like, no, we're not going to put that out. We're not going to let you do it. And it got to a point where obviously the liquid was so good, and the production of it adhered to what the Cuban government made ensure happens, that they were like, yeah, okay, we can now move forward with this. So it's been a really, really long process. And when you learn about all of that and the history and the dedication that's gone in to putting this brand together, to be the first ever spiced rum to be produced in and exported from Cuba, when they are so tight over what you can and can't do. You know, it's like trying to release a spiced scotch. Yeah. I mean, it's so heavily controlled and governed. You know, it's been a painful process, but we've got, or they've got there. And now, yeah, it's a case of just rolling it out to the world, I guess.
Yeah. So kind of where do you see it sat then in where's it going to slot in the current market, do you think? Because obviously it sounds like, given the amount of time and effort it's taken to secure this deal, and obviously the reason why it's so difficult to do that is because it is so heavily regulated. I presume that the liquids like considered as being a little bit more premium, and I think kind of like premium spiced rums isn't too much of a thing, really, is it, at the moment? Obviously, one of the one of the very inviting things with spice rum is the fact that it doesn't take as long to produce. You can do it en masse, and as a result, you can just fire it out there and try and back up that money. So I presume with this one, like the base liquid itself, is it like a little bit older of a blend, or what's actually like the liquid itself?
Right, you can buy bulk distillate from anywhere, stick a load of crap in it, and off you go. You've got a rum brand, right? I'll go back to gin on that one. And absolutely, the same people that were doing that to gin will now start doing it to a sugarcane distillate, which they may think is rum or whatever. But anywho, with the Island Rum Company, obviously it's Cuban, right? And it goes through exactly the same production, the same control, same everything as every single drop of any Cuban rum ever does, right? It's not a cheaper way of doing it. It's not a quicker way of doing it. It's exactly the same way of doing it, right? You're not allowed to change any element of that. So it's the same sugar, it's the same fermentation processes and time. It's the same distillation processes and time. Everything is exactly the same. Okay, so the difference comes after distillation. So it comes off the still. Cuba produces two things off still. One is raw alcohol, like ridiculous, like power a rocket to the moon type stuff, or they produce aguardente. The aguardente is sold locally, and it's called aguardente. It's not classed as rum. In Cuba, you must be a minimum of 2 years old until you are allowed to be classed and classified as a rum. Okay, so every single drop must be a minimum of 2 year old. The rum in Black Tears and a lot of others as well will actually be way older than that, because how they blend their rums together, you get a little bit of older stuff mixed with a little bit of minimum 2 year old stuff, and that's all about getting the balance of flavors. So in pretty much most Cuban rums, because they'll also mix in some of the aged aguardente or rum, or they'll add in some much older stock as well, or they'll cut the older stock with the younger stuff. So it's a continual blending process, basically. And that's no different, isn't Black Tears. But like I say, the rums in there could be anywhere between no less than 2, but maybe up to 5 year old. Now, the 5 year old, we haven't had to wait for that. We've only had to wait for the 2 year old. Right? So every single drop has to do that. And also the infusion process that they use is all natural, and it takes longer. They infuse all the ingredients, of which there are only 3. There's Cuban coffee, Cuban cacao, so chocolate, and a chili pepper called the ají dulce, which is a little bit like a sweet chili pepper. It looks a little bit like a Scotch bonnet type, habanero type pepper, but it's more sweet heat than a hot heat. And everything is indigenous to Cuba. There is nothing in that bottle, or any bottle of an Island Rum Company product, that's not been planted, produced and packaged in Cuba. Not one item. So it's single source rum throughout. They infuse all 3 ingredients separately so they can control it. So obviously if the coffee's going too strong, they just remove some of the coffee. If the chocolate's not going enough, they'll put some more cacao in there. When it's all done and everything's happy, they'll blend it all together, and then they'll cut it down to 40%, and that's it. You're not allowed to add any sugar. You're not allowed to add any flavorings, colorings, sweeteners, or preservatives that are not natural. So there's no added sugar at all. A bottle of Black Tears, a litre of Black Tears has no more than 9 grams of sugar per liquid litre. So you net that down per bottle, you're looking at no more than 6, maybe 6 and a bit grams of sugar per liquid litre. Now, and I like saying this, but if you can show me any rum, right, certainly from a normal supermarket, any rum that's got lower than that, I'll be surprised. And that's rum full stop, not spice rum category full stop.
No, that's really fascinating. Like I wasn't aware that that was an element. I guess I'm just naturally inclined to think that all spice rums will be like a little bit dosed after the fact, you know. So do you think that?
But they are. That's the thing, and that's, you know, the brands that have led the way, shall we say? And you know, there are no prizes for naming them. But you know, the brands that have led the way in this. You know, if you did a blind tasting of, you know, you go to a supermarket and pick out, you know, as many as you can, right? And do a blind tasting on those leading products, there's not that much difference in them, right? Now, they tend to be, for my palate, they tend to be overly sweet. They tend to be syrupy. You know, there would be lower ABV, at best 37.5. And all you would get, and this may sound stupid, but all you're going to get is a flavor, right? And that's not the rum. There's no rum really to that. It's just a flavor of vanilla or cinnamon or whatever, you know. And that to me is not how it should be. You know, that's just some sweet liquid in a bottle, right? But if you enjoy it and you like it, then crack on, right? But then the main mixer for spiced rum is
Coke.
Yeah.
Right? It's what I call an Coke reaction. It's like, how do you drink that? Like, well, Coke, right? Now, you've got an already very, very sweet product, and you're going to mix it with the world's sweetest mixer, right? Why? What is that? I don't get it, right? So, but again, if that's what you enjoy, happy days, man. It's not my job to tell you not to enjoy it. But as the rum category as a whole grows, and certainly as the spice rum category continues to grow at the rate it is, there are way better quality products now coming to the market. And these are from producers that, do you know what, may never have considered making a spice rum for their portfolio, but they know how much it's potentially worth, right, in terms of volume and money, let's be honest. But then also, if you buy brand A, which you know never made spice rum before, but you know is a pretty serious rum drinker's rum, well, if you're sat there with their spiced version, you may then eventually, you know, when you grow up a bit, you know, you'll go into your next progression or step is into their other rums, right? So it's seen as almost kind of like the gateway, I guess, into rum. But as these more credible producers start to produce spice rum, they're doing it in accordance to how they make their more premium rums anyway, right? So it's better ingredients, better distillation, and you know, better finishes and all sorts of stuff, and that is a good thing. Yes, the spice rum category is not a bad thing. There's some bad eggs, absolutely, but then you could say that about the rum category in general. You know, I've tasted some supposedly premium liquid that, I'll be honest, weren't for my palate.
That's very diplomatic.
Yes, but I just don't buy it. Do you know what I mean? I won't invest my money in that. I'll go and try something else that I do like, and I'll invest my money in that. And it's the same with spice rum, you know. It's so easy because of the years that's been building up to where the spice rum category is now. There has been literally only really a handful of big brands that have led the way, and have they been the best quality? In my opinion, no. But you know, when they're selling millions of cases a year, do they think that they care? Well, I think nope. But now that it is getting better, I think spiced rum drinkers now are more educated. I mean, like, you go on Facebook, there's the UK Spice Rum Club on Facebook. You know, it's a very chatty group. They share loads of pictures and recipes, and I've just bought this, what do you think? Or I'm looking for something new, any advice? You know, and the chat on that now is so diverse, you know, and introducing people into new spice rums, or check this producer out, check that producer out, you know, and it's not what you see on a supermarket shelf. You know, they're going to find new, different, cooler spice rums, you know, which is brilliant. You know, go back a couple of years, you'd never have thought of that would even exist.
Yeah, and I guess as long as the dialogue is like constructive, I think it's one thing that is a bit of a growing frustration for us. Like, you know, there's so many forums and things to see out there, and people posting pictures and advice and recommendations and stuff like that, and it's opened our eyes to a lot of new things out there that we wouldn't have maybe, you know, even caught wind of. But it is a bit disheartening to see when, you know, people just get attacked for kind of like getting their opinion out there. They might be a bit more new to it, you know. It's like the equivalent of walking into a bar and, you know, you asking for one cocktail on the menu and it just so happens to be the kind of like, you know, like, I don't know, sweeter, fruitier cocktail, or, you know, so you're a bit of a novice. It's just like the bartender, it's the equivalent of the bartender turning the nose up at you, you know, you feel unwelcome. So like for someone that's like entry level, just getting into it, to maybe try and reach out in one of these forums where it's a bit of there's a bit of negativity, it's quite a daunting thing. And I think it will basically encourage people to not get involved. They'll almost feel like excluded. You know, if it feels too cliquey, people just won't bother it. And it'd be much better to open the door for them, let them in, and then once they're in, start educating and trying different stuff. It's just way more constructive to talk things out rather than just argue or rant, you know.
Yeah, and especially when, you know, someone is asking for advice or guidance, for example, or feedback. You know, I bought this today, I've not opened it yet. Any, you know, which I find baffling. I'd be like, I bought this, I've opened it, and this is what I think of it, right? I wouldn't ever buy something, and you see this all the time. Just bought this. What do you think? Open it. Just open it and tell us what you think of it. But you know, you're absolutely right. You know, no one's going to come back, or at least not to contribute, if they get shot down, right? And again, it doesn't matter what my opinion is, your opinion is, or the next person walk past my door's opinion is, right? If you like it, enjoy it, right? It doesn't matter, right? No one's got the right to tell you that you're right or wrong, or you shouldn't be drinking that, you should be drinking like this. You can be advised on how to drink something a specific way, or what to drink, or, you know, whatever, but you can't be shouted down for doing something that you want to do and you want to enjoy. No one's got the right to do that. And, you know, the more constructive and also as well, like, you know, have a bit of gravitas behind what you're saying. You can't just turn around and go, no, that's crap. Well, why? Like, you know, like, have you got anything to back that up? Do you know what I mean? And you get that all the time. Like, no, you know, people saying, I'd never buy that. Well, why? Why not? Like, okay, and do you know what I mean? You've got to have something to back it up a little bit. So it's how you come across as well. But, you know, unfortunately, everyone's different, and everyone's flavour profile and everything's going to be different. So again, you're not going to please everyone. You know, I mean, I see on quite a few forums and what have you, on Facebook in particular, and, you know, you see stuff come up and you're like, ooh, yeah, that wouldn't be for me, that one. But you don't shoot them down for it. You know, they'll say, I've bought this, how do you think how I can drink it? And then you get people say, you know, Coke, stick a load of Coke in it. I said, well, actually, Emily, if you think about the flavour that you've got in that bottle and how you could take it, you know, and do this and this and add that and do that, and all of a sudden you've got like, right, okay, yeah. Rather than just, stick a load of Coke in it. I used to say to people all the time, like, look, if you're going to drink something in Coke, drink vodka.
That makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
All you're tasting in the end is Coke anyway, right? But with what you said about the bartender thing and asking for a cocktail, I used to use this one all the time with my Pusser's rum hat on. Like, you know, someone walks up to the bar and orders a pina colada. I love a pina colada. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if you like a pina colada, you're going to love this, right? And you take them straight to a painkiller, right? Yeah. It's two steps. That's all, two differences, right? Do you know what I mean? There's not much difference in it, but for me, it's a better. I'd rather have a painkiller than a pina colada. However, I will take a pina colada any day. Do you know what I mean? But if someone says to me, "Oh, you pina colada, I can do your painkiller instead." Absolutely. Yeah. But
I think.
Go on, sir.
No, so I was just going to say, like, I think the crux of the thing that you kind of like mentioned there is just that it's a lot harder to do that, isn't it? Really, like, it's a lot harder to actually bother to take the time to talk to people about stuff like why you wouldn't choose a certain rum, or if you like X, why don't you try Y? I don't know what it is, but it just seems at the moment, especially on like social media, it's just so much easier to shoot something down. You don't have to back it up, because if anyone tries to question you, you can just ignore them, you know. Whereas if you're having a conversation face to face, there is a little bit of back and forth, and you can bounce ideas off each other. And I think it's just I think it's just the kind of laziness thing, really. I think people just think it's too easy just to shut stuff down, and it's far too easy to follow the trends. And if a certain group of people are saying that one thing's cool, you're instantly going to get brownie points for just tagging along with them. I can guarantee there's some people that haven't tried certain things that are out there before, but yet they'll be on part of a team and shooting down
totally,
the products just because it kind of gives them a little bit of just gets them a few.
And people will back something and love something, but never even tried it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's the same opposite, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? They'll slag it off and maybe never ever tried it, but they'll back it and maybe never ever have tried it.
Yeah.
But like you say, because there's certain friends or certain group members have said, oh yeah, you've got to try it. It's amazing. It's oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it. It's like, what? I love driving a Bentley. I've never done it, but I'm sure I would. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never done it, but I'd say I'd love it. But you know what I mean? It's just, it is so easy. Like I say, you can just turn your phones and your feeds off and stuff like that. But I think it is important to have a bit of gravitas behind what you're saying, be it good or bad, or positive or negative. I think would be a better way. Because again, that's part of other people's education as well. Just saying it's good or it's bad, it doesn't mean anything. But if you explain why, then people can learn from that. And also, you could probably learn from that because you would get comments back.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of like this black tea spice rum, then it's obviously been like quite a long and arduous task to like actually get the liquid right, make sure that it's in alignment with the government regulations over there and whatnot. I presume that as a result of this kind of like, all natural approach that you've taken to it and these natural infusions, the liquid itself is going to be a kind of somewhat more complex kind of layered end result. So like how are you going to kind of like go about promoting this? Obviously we've been talking about mixes with Coke. It seems like something that would be, people say it'll be a shame to do that, it sounds like it'd be a shame to mix it with certain things if it's not going to accent and complement the complexity. There's obviously a lot going on in that liquid already, right? So is there anything in particular, is there any like serves that you would recommend with it, or how are you going to kind of market it? Because like I've just had a little look on here, and on something like Master Malt or Whiskey Exchange, you're looking at around £35 a bottle. So it's certainly a little bit more expensive than those entry-level spice rums that people are already going to be accustomed to. And if they're going to look between spending, £20 on something or 35, is there going to be a particular approach you're going to take to getting this out there? And
again, there's loads to answer on that one. The liquid is very, very different. It's Cuban for a start, so we sell the Cuban rum story first and foremost. Cuban rum is renowned for being much drier. It's got a lot of flavour profile behind it. So this is also, it's based on that. It's proper Cuban rum made in the Cuban manner. If we didn't touch it and it was bottled as pure, if you like, untouched Cuban rum, it would have the proper government seal of approval on it and, the guarantee, etc. And absolutely it would, So the base liquid is as good as any Cuban rum you're ever going to taste. We've just altered the flavour profile post production. It's much darker. Obviously, the rums are not very old, 2 to 5 year old. A lot of the colour is from some of the aging, but it's from the coffee and the chocolate. There's no colouring or anything added. So we take those two flavour ingredients or two flavour profiles as the most prominent. But no matter what you do, you still get the rum as well. We mentioned earlier about some of the supermarket big boys where all you taste is a flavour, you still get the rum in this. It's true 40% ABV, which helps carry the flavours a little bit more and still brings the rum through. Now, in terms of mixability, and if you want to stick cola in it, crack on, happy days. If that's your drink, knock yourself out. We'd never say don't ever do that. We would recommend harshly, but no, if you're going to use a cola, we always say use diet for this product. The producers of this have gone out of their way to not put a load of sugar in this product, right? And they've reduced it and kept it out. It's not in there, so don't stick a load of sugar in it. So we'd say use diet cola and use orange instead of lime. as well.
Okay.
So carries the flavours on there. One of our signature serves is Tears and Tonic, which works unbelievably well, and just an orange peel twist at the end. Now, rum and tonic's not for everyone. Spiced rum and tonic certainly isn't for everyone, but it works. It works ridiculously well. There's an abundance of cocktails and stuff on the websites and on social media for Black Tears Cuban Spiced. And what I did in lockdown, obviously, sort of how can we keep the brand out there? So every Friday now, we go live at 6 p.m. on the official brand pages on Facebook and Instagram, and we do a live make-along type cocktail session, and we make 2 drinks every Friday. One is a classic style. Now that could be anything. Okay, we've done bourbon, we've done gin, we've done vodka, we've done brandy, cognac, we've got tequila coming up, we've got another cognac. So the first drink is a classic cocktail. Okay, we do a lot of rum ones as well. So as you can imagine, your daiquiris, coladas, mojitos, and Mary Pickfords and stuff like that. We do a lot of rum ones, but the second one is always a Black Tears twist on that cocktail. Okay, cool. Which is wicked, because I'm getting to research a lot of cocktails and broaden my knowledge on cocktails that I'd either forgotten about or never even heard of, but also then get to play around with them and see if they work or not for research educational purposes, to drink and try all these cocktails, and then if they work and they're really good, we put them into the live broadcast thing, and you know we do a what you need, we call it a what you need video on a Monday, so people can go in and go, right, so for Friday I need the following ingredients. Mm-hmm. And then on Friday, 6 o'clock, get everything ready, and we make these 2 drinks. And you know, we've done like porn star martinis, we did espresso martini last week, we've done cosmopolitan, you know, which is away from rum normally, but then we always bring it back to Black Tears and how you can use Black Tears in ways that people would never. Well, I guess not just the brand, but rum or spice rum in ways that people never thought you could. Now, you know, we say in every single one, it's not about better or worse. It's about different, right? And also about giving people ideas on how they can use it, you know. It's been really good. It's been really good. You know, we're getting, you know, anywhere up to sort of 1,400 views a week, which is wicked. You know, I wouldn't see that many people, and that many people wouldn't see the brand if I was on the road every day. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, and it's working. It's worked really, really well. We get good interaction on screen when we're going live and stuff. So it's been really good. This week will be episode 12, which is mad. So yeah, we started it the week after. So yeah, we've been in this crazy world for 13 weeks, haven't we? Yeah. So, oh gosh. But yeah, it works well. And like I said, for us, rum is fun. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier on, right? Rum is meant to be fun. Cocktails should also be fun, right? And also the great thing, yeah. You know, no one, you get, I'd like the most serious cocktail you can make me, please. You know, cocktails. You have cocktails in an environment where you're enjoying yourself. Yeah, and it kind of helps with that. And to be able to show people how to make cocktails, because this isn't aimed at bartenders, it's aimed at normal consumers, you know, that are like rum or like cocktails or whatever, but maybe not have know-how or skill set or whatever to make them. So they're learning, which is wicked. We tie a little bit of educational element in it as well, just to justify the drinking. But we do that. So we tell a little bit of history about the cocktail and where it's come from, and you know, just general sort of knowledge on a few little tidbits of info on the inspiration for the original, if you like. So we try and make it as educational as we can. But yeah, it's a good way of getting the brand out there, introducing people to for the first time to Black Tears Spice Rum as well, right? But also maybe to that particular genre of cocktail as well. Oh, that's cool. When people like you open your doors again and they can come into your bar and go, I think I remember this cocktail from that idiot online. Like, yeah, brilliant. They can enjoy it. But we do everything measured as well. Everything is measured. Everything is properly done. It's not like, you know, home pouring. We're pretty particular on that because, again, when people do go into bars, we're all guilty of pouring at home, right? About that much. But when you're making a daiquiri at home, you need to measure it properly so that when you walk into a bar, it doesn't taste weak, right? Because you've been giving yourself like 90 ml booze. So we do everything as per proper official, like specs and everything. So we try and maintain some form of responsible drinking.
I think like one of the best things kind of about spiced rum just in general really is the fact that it can be like so accessible, I think, to people. And we tend to use it a lot in work for kind of getting people like just into rum a little bit more. Like, do you think like stuff like this that people have, obviously you guys have been doing it online and a few other people have been doing similar stuff, do you think that's going to kind of help like drive all these sales when we do eventually get back into kind of drinking in bars and stuff?
I think it's going to open the category and people's perception of it a lot. Yes. The danger is people said exactly the same about flavoured gin and pink gin, and look where that's ended up. That hasn't gone well for the category, I don't think. And it rum's a little bit different because you say rum to a lot of people, like, I don't like rum. Like instantly, like, I don't like rum. And I'm a firm believer there is a rum for everyone. Do you know what I mean? And that you've just got to find it, and there's the fun. That's the fun bit. But I think spice rum, yes, is very much sort of the gateway into rum. Unless you're stupid like me and you start with gunpowder proof, then most people don't do that. So yeah, I think it is going to be the entry into rum. Now, if you normally drink brand A in a specific manner, would you be trying this brand F in this way, sort of thing? I think is another way of bringing people into new things, into new brands, into new flavors. And also, a big thing for us is liquid on lips. And if we can do that by sending samples out, to people that have inquired online, or doing the cocktail things, getting liquid on lips is paramount. Now, obviously, with the on-trade being where it is, we're quite limited. But as and when that opens up, still a massive part of what we will be doing is focusing purely on that liquid on lips. People like yourselves getting into bars, getting involved again in their retraining programs, and being there to educate people. For me, now I've done it with all the other rum brands that I've managed and been involved with in the past. I'll come and talk to you about the brand, absolutely. But if I can bring in other brands that or you're more familiar with, and compare it against, and we'll do a little journey of different rums, and not even necessarily from now, but in the spice rum category, we can hop around and all ties up eventually. But you'll get a better understanding of how rum is, or how rum can be, all based around this one thing. We're lucky with Black Tears being the flavour it is, coffee and chocolate, and just from rum, coffee, chocolate, the number of directions you can go in just from those three things is unbelievable. It's been brilliant. So we are fortunate with that. So yeah, I do think I think by the time, and because there's been more and more rum brands appearing during lockdown, and people have spent a lot more time online and on social media, so they've seen these new pictures coming up, and these new brands coming up, so people are buying a lot. Alcohol sales certainly in supermarkets have not faltered at all. I'm sure that I can't remember where it was, online, or it was on the radio news or something, where off-trade alcohol sales within the first 8 weeks was something like 20% up on Christmas last year.
Wow.
On Christmas, not on the busiest time of year. Within the first 10 weeks or something of lockdown, they were up on Christmas. I mean, people have not been teetotal during lockdown, let's be honest. And because there has been so much activity from brands, I think it's been a great educational piece, or a great opportunity for people to educate themselves, to be honest, and find something new, or watch somebody discover something new and then go and try it for themselves and stuff. So I think it'll be interesting to see when consumers do go back into venues and stuff, just how different they are, And again, not just myself, but loads of other brand ambassadors and bars and bartenders have been doing their own thing on social media, pushing brands, pushing categories, pushing cocktails. So there's been a lot of educational opportunities out there.